The Republic of Baja California and Sonora was an unrecognized country that was founded in the fall of 1853 by American filibuster William Walker, who wanted to establish a free state buffer republic that protected California from hostile Native American lands. It was also going to be a slave republic that would govern under the laws of the state of Louisiana. Walker named himself president and his former law partner, Henry Watkins, as vice president. Emboldened by Manifest Destiny and its movement, which was laid out by President James K. Polk in 1845, Walker wanted to spread American influence and white paternalism throughout the land. He felt that Native Americans and Mexicans living in the West needed the guidance and education of the white man in order to succeed in life. At first, Walker tried to get a land grant from the local government of Baja California when he visited the city of Guaymas in the state of Sonora in the summer of 1853. The local officials declined to grant him one, so he traveled back to San Francisco, to where he was making his headquarters at the time, and planned his next move. Disappointed and angry about being denied the land grant, he decided to raise funds to build up a small army and make an expedition back to Baja California and make his own country. Mexico, on their part, just fought a one-sided war with the United States for almost 2 years and lost a lot of their territory after the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848. They weren't too keen on Americans trying to acquire land in Mexico. To raise money for his little venture in Baja California, Walker sold scrip, which was kind of like today's crypto, funny money that could be used in his future country of the Republic of Baja California. People bought enough scrip that he was able to assemble a 48-man private army made up of volunteers from Kentucky and Tennessee who also wanted to spread white paternalism and slavery, and they were all hopped up on Manifest Destiny. Word got out about Walker's expedition to Mexico and creating a new country called the Republic of Baja California to the head of the United States Army Department of the Pacific Commander, General Ethan Hitchcock, who sent some soldiers to stop Walker's little army and arrested him. But Walker had friends in high places who knew about his filibustering, ordered his release. One of his friends was Secretary of War Jefferson Davis, who ordered Hitchcock to release Walker so he and his band of merry men could go to Mexico. He refused and was put on leave. Hitchcock would later be replaced by one of his cronies, General John Wool, who looked the other way when it came to filibustering activities. To travel from San Francisco Bay to Baja California, William Walker chartered a brig to take him and his merry men to Mexico. The first ship he chartered, the Arrow, fell out of service when he and his men were arrested originally, so he had to hire a second boat, the Caroline, and sailed it on October 15th. After 3 weeks on the Pacific Ocean, the mercenaries landed in Baja California at the city of La Paz. Walker and his 48-man army captured the city of La Paz on November 3rd in 1853, and soon their ranks were bolstered with the arrival of 200 more volunteers and recruits. They defeated the local authorities and a small regiment of Mexican soldiers, proclaiming the new Republic of Baja California. But due to the logistics of their positioning and the need for more soldiers, William Walker moved his capital to Ensenada. The Republic of Baja California existed as an unrecognized country for a few months before it morphed into the Republic of Sonora on January 21st, 1854. The victory over the Mexican army reached San Francisco, which inspired more people to join Walker's army. Unfortunately, William Walker ran into some troubles a few weeks into his occupation of Baja California. With the arrival of more recruits, that required more mouths to feed. His brig, the Caroline, that carried him and the first 48, took off for reasons unknown, along with all their supplies. The loss of their supplies, along with the arrival of more soldiers, made for miserable conditions. For William Walker and his merry men, the soldiers of fortune began to loot and plunder the nearby villages and farms looking for food. This did not go well for the Americans, especially when they tried to pay them with worthless scrip. Now the Mexican army, along with some more federal troops, began to march towards the new Republic of Sonora and Baja California. Walker began to train his soldiers and drill them in basic combat before they marched toward the city of Sonora to capture the capital. Walker's army became disgruntled, and over half of them left for home. The remaining soldiers were probably wishing that they would join them. About 100 men remained, and they marched to Sonora. But by the time they reached the Colorado River, the halfway point to their destination, Walker had about 35 loyal soldiers left. He executed 2 and flogged 2 others, but this didn't stop the mass desertion of his filibuster army. The remaining troops crossed the Mexico-California border and surrendered themselves to a company of U.S. soldiers that were stationed there. After they were arrested, Walker had to face trial for violating the Neutrality Act of 1794. Judge Isaac Stockton Keith Ogier of the United States District Court for the Southern District of California decided to prosecute William Walker and called up a grand jury to decide his fate. The judge already indicted his vice president and secretary of state on similar charges of violating the Neutrality Act of 1794. But due to Walker having friends in high places and the popularity of the Manifest Destiny movement, the jury deliberated for only 8 minutes and found him not guilty on all charges. The plan that William Walker tried to emulate was one very similar to Sam Houston. Houston got a land grant and hoodwinked the local Mexican officials into believing that he had no intentions of starting his own country. But when he brought in slaves and none of his settlers converted to Roman Catholicism, like he was ordered to do so, the Mexican government should have chased them back to the United States. Instead, Houston managed to carve out a piece of Mexico and gave it to the U.S. After escaping some serious charges, William Walker went back to practicing law in Northern California. His retirement from filibustering lasted only a year before he was back with even bigger dreams. His reputation as a filibuster and his antics of trying to create a new country inside of one already established reached Central America and the country of Nicaragua, which was in the midst of a civil war. The president of Democratic Nicaragua, Francisco Castellón, which was in a war with the Legitimist Party, requested the services of William Walker. The backers of the Democratic Nicaragua wanted Walker and up to 300 colonists who were granted the right to bear arms under the laws of his country to come on down and join his forces. Thanks for watching this episode of Pax Americana. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and tell a friend.